All right, 7th graders, lesson 7-8 is about money. And money, one of the best aspects of money and savings is interest. Money working for you. In other words, money that you gain simply by having it in an account that pays interest. It's better to get interest than to pay interest. Okay? Interest going into your account is a good thing. Interest going out of your account, having to pay interest, is not as good. Okay? So we want to get interest, we don't want to pay interest. Okay? We're talking about something that is called simple interest. Interest that is paid just on one time, and it's based on this formula. The principal, which is the amount of money, okay, maybe it's the balance. The principal times the rate. The rate is the interest rate. Okay? Now, an interest rate on like a credit card or something like that might be 20%, 21, 22, 23% that you have to pay on that money. Yeah, that's up there. Versus the amount of interest that you would get paid in like a savings account is only about 1% or maybe 2%. Okay? Think about the difference. If you have to borrow money to do something, that means you have to pay interest. You have to pay 20%. Versus having somebody use your money and paying you interest to do that. They only, if it's a bank, for example, they're only paying you a couple of percent. Okay? Yeah. So we're talking about interest rates on this. And then one of the things that is affected by it is the time, the amount of time. Okay? How many times the interest is calculated. So, look at the example on page 386. It says, suppose you deposit $500 into a savings account. Okay? So in our formula, that's the amount that we're starting with. The deposit amount. So write $500 underneath that formula. Okay? Then it says it pays 4% interest per year. So our interest rate is 4% per year. Then we want to find the interest amount, which is the I, the interest amount in 6 years. So, in this case, since we're talking about years, it's going to be calculated 6 times for 6 years. So 4% each year for 6 years. Okay? How much interest will you earn? How would we figure this out? First of all, you've got to change this form. We can't use the percent form. We have to use what form? The decimal form. So let's change this to a decimal. 0.04. Yep. And then it's just multiplication, isn't it? 500 times 0.04 times 6 equals the amount of interest. So that's the amount of money that you'll earn. How much was that, Henry? $120. So what is your new balance after 6 years? Michael? 620. If you add that to the 500 that you started with, your new balance is $620. Simply for doing nothing. Simply for having that money in the account.
Wait, how many? 6 months
Okay.
a year?
What?
6 represent months a year.
6 years in this case.
Oh. I was like,
It says 6 years. Okay? So that's how simple interest works. And that's what we're going to cover just in today's lesson. Is finding simple interest. Okay? We're going to talk about compound interest tomorrow. Okay?